Hello, it's Jon S Sports Channel here again, where we do Championship, League One and running, and today it's Championship, and we're going to go back and we're going to review Friday the 20th of September, 21st and 22nd to see what our predictions look like. Now, we had 7 correct results, one of which was correct score. That was really good. My League One predictions were absolutely dismal, but my Championship ones were really good. So let's start at the beginning where it didn't go quite so well, and we go to Stoke City versus Hull City. Now, a lot of people here thinking we still have faith in a side. Stoke City were 13th and Hull City that was 22nd. We still have a lot of faith in Stoke City. Their defence is a little bit shaky at the minute, but the situation there, manager-wise, I think we all thought wasn't going to make too much of a difference. They have got a good side, and Hull City being in 22nd, you wouldn't think that they would be able to come up and play at Stoke and have a convincing win. So I went with most of you. Some of you said a draw. I went with most of you and said Stoke City 1, Hull City 0. It was Stoke City 1, Hull City 3. Stoke City had 43% possession, Hull City 57%. The difference here is Stoke City had 14 shots on goal, 2 on target, and scored 1 of them, so which isn't good enough for the Championship as a conversion rate. Hull City 13 shots on target, 13 shots, 3 on target, which isn't that good, but it's sort of edging on acceptable, and 3 goals from those 3 shots on target, which is an absolutely brilliant conversion rate, isn't it? So in total, I think Hull City just took their chances better. They were more clinical. When I looked at that in our watch-alongs, you could see that Hull City had slightly more in the way of passing. They kept the ball and passed the ball between each other a lot more. So that was the surprise for me. They managed to keep the ball and play it well and keep passing it between each other, little short passes, and it was really quite enjoyable as a neutral. So got that one wrong. 1-0 to Stoke, we said, and it was 3-1 to Hull City. We go to the Saturday games, and we start with Norwich versus Watford, and it was 4-1 game this, but as a neutral there was no way that looked like a 4-1 win to Norwich. 19 shots on target for 19 shots at goal for Norwich, 8 shots on target, which is really good. really good. But of those 8 shots on target, 4 of them went in the net. So they were clinical. And for once, that team did really well, because they were in 15th and Watford were in 5th. And everybody's thinking, I don't think they're gonna suddenly get better, because at the minute they've been playing below par. And can we see them getting good now? Well, was it last season or a couple of seasons ago, wasn't it, where at this point Norwich were actually bottom of the league, and they soared up the league when they managed to sort of get that link between players. They just had that knowledge between them, and they played so well as a team. But it took them a while to get there, and I think a lot of people are sort of remembering that and thinking, hey, it took them a fair few games to get to that point last time. So a lot of 1-1s, a lot of 1-0s to Norwich, and I think I saw a couple of one person I think say 1-0 to Watford, and I sort of went against most of you, and I said Norwich 0, Watford 1. So this is my joker, I suppose. I wish I hadn't, because it was Norwich 4, Watford 1. So most of you got it quite right. What Norwich were going to turn it round. So well done, everybody. Not so well done for me. The next game is QPR versus Millwall, and QPR Millwall was one of those where everybody was saying QPR in 12th, Millwall in 18th. QPR have just about started to find that form from the end of last season. Not quite yet, but most people thinking, yeah, they're starting to play well. But I've seen Millwall being really good as well, and I think they've been rather unlucky with the way the run of the green, the referees, and I think I had to agree with you that QPR 2, Millwall 1. It was QPR 1, Millwall 1. So we didn't get that one right. 60% possession to QPR. I mean, they are showing now that they can actually go back to what they finished playing like at the end of last season. 7 shots on at goal. Perhaps not. That's not good enough for 60% possession. 2 on target, 1 goal. Yeah, I think they really need to be looking at being able at getting it further into that final third. When I was looking at it, they just didn't seem to get into the final third. They were just passing it. They were 437 passes to QPR, 269 to Millwall. And it shows, because when I was on the watch along, you could see that QPR were keeping the ball, but they were just passing it along midfield and the back. I think it was mainly midfield from what I remember. But not getting into the final third. And they've got to be able to do more with the ball when they've got it. On the other hand, Millwall, 16 shots, 5 on target, which was really good. 1 goal. On another day, they might have got two goals or even 3 from that, but not quite clinical enough for me. And although that's a decent set of conversion rates, they desperately needed to turn those 16 into more shots on target, and they didn't. So we went with the QPR 2, Millwall 1, and it was QPR 1, Millwall 1. Now we start getting into the ones where we started getting the results right. Sunderland Borough. And Sunderland were in 2nd, Borough were in 10th, and I think most people were thinking Sunderland are on fire. They make a couple of mistakes now and again and in games, and they just don't seem to be able to recoup from it or recover from it. We couldn't really see that happening with Borough. I think nobody thought that Borough would score 0. Most people thinking Borough have that ability to sneak a goal in anywhere, even at the Stadium of Light. Everybody on here except for one person said Sunderland 2, Borough 1, so I agreed with you. Sunderland 2, Borough 1. It was Sunderland 1, Borough 0. So I think that was a pretty good result. 37% possession to Sunderland, but that's how they play, and hitting people on the break is what they've been what they did, and they did it really effectively. 9 shots at goal, which isn't great, but it is if you only got 37% possession. 2 shots on target, 1 of which was a goal, which is good. It really is good. 1 in 4, 1 in 3 or 4 is acceptable, and they got 1 in 2, so great. Borough, 63% possession, 12 shots. Now I think that's just down on what we would expect for that sort of possession. On target 1, that is dismal. They just made them shoot from outside the box, and their gameplay and their game plan from Sunderland was absolutely amazing. Really, really efficient, really well carried out. Well done, Sunderland. Borough, you just couldn't break that high back line down, and they just managed to make you shoot from as far out as they possibly could, and it worked. So Sunderland 1, Borough 0, and we thought it was be Sunderland 2, Borough 1. So that was a good result for us. Then we go into Bristol City versus Oxford. Now I've had 2-1 wins and for Oxford, 3-2 wins and 2-1 wins to Bristol City, and this was going everywhere. The trouble with League One teams coming up is they tend to play a little bit League One-ish, and like Plymouth last year, they got found out. So they went straight up to the top half of the table. And I remember their manager saying, Rotherham did this year. Last year they went up to 5th, and then they ended up in 21st position. And that's exactly what happened with Plymouth. They got found out, and people knew then how to play against them, and they didn't change, and they went down to like 20s. They went down into the 20th, didn't they? So can I see that happening to Oxford? Yes. Did I see it now? No. I was listening to you all, and you're all sort of quite. None of you said it was going to be a draw, but everybody's saying it's going to either be Bristol City or Oxford. So they're really difficult to look at. I decided to think, they have been playing well, and when they play well, they play well all the game. And I'm thinking, yeah, Bristol 0, Oxford 2. And it wasn't. It was Bristol City 2, Oxford 1. Quick look at the stats, because I know you like to be quick. 56% possession to Bristol City, 19 shots, 6 on target, 2 goals. Pretty good. Average championship sort of stats there. Oxford, 7 shots, 2 on target, 1 goal. Good stats, but with 44% possession, 7 shots, I would hope for a couple more, and that might have just drew you up to 2, but at the end of the day, it wasn't to be. You just couldn't be clinical enough or even get the number of shots reeled off that you really needed to come back into that game. And it's as easy as that. Passes 455 to Bristol City, 368 to Oxford. You're sort of seeing the pattern of play there. Bristol City kept it longer, did more passes with it, and just frustrated Oxford a little bit. I wouldn't say they over-frustrated them, but they certainly frustrated them a little. So we didn't get that one right. Then we go into a nice burst of correct results here. Now, Burnley versus Burnley were in 4th, Portsmouth were in 23rd, and I remember last week saying, look, if they lose last week, they're going to go into a 6-game defeated run here. I can just see it because it happens regularly in the Championship and in League One. So most people saying 2-0, 3-0, 1-0 to Burnley. I went with 1-0. So Burnley 1, Portsmouth 0. It was Burnley 2, Portsmouth 1. And to be quite honest, I don't think even when Portsmouth equalised, it was against the run of play. They were being absolutely trounced all the way through the game. And 70% possession to Burnley. Now, they had 18 shots. But, they could have had so many more. They absolutely did. That 70%, I think, was rather minimal. They seemed to just. They were just in the driving seat all the way through, even when they let one in. They were still in the driving seat, and near the end, it was when are they going to score, not are they going to score. 18 shots, 4 on target. 2 goals. You've really got to be, if you're going to be a Premier League team, you've got to be able to put more of those on target than that. It's not a bad ratio, but if you want to go up, it's got to be better than that. Portsmouth, 30% possession, 5 shots. Now that's actually not too bad for that amount of possession. You have to be hitting them on the break, which they were. 2 shots on target, 1 goal. Actually, their ratios weren't that bad for the amount of possession they had. They were just outplayed and never seemed to get the ball. And when they didn't have the ball, Burnley were passing it around it with lovely little short passes and managing to keep Portsmouth off the ball without even letting them tackle them. So it was always going to be one result, that one, I'm afraid. We said Burnley 1, Portsmouth 0. It was Burnley 2, Portsmouth 1. Correct result. next we go to Cardiff. Cardiff in 24th versus Leeds in 9th. And I think every man and his dog was saying that that Cardiff didn't have a hope here. Of course, I saw the Joel Bagan sending off on 23, and you're thinking, now you really don't have a chance. But Leeds just didn't seem to be clinical enough to get it in there. They were overrunning them. We said, what did he say? We said, lots of you saying 2-0, 2-1. I said 3-0. I thought it might be a bit more than that. So some of you got the score correct on here. We said Cardiff 0, Leeds 3. It was Cardiff 0, Leeds 2. 79% possession overall to Leeds. 15 shots, 7 on target, 2 goals. That's about right. That's about right. Pretty good conversion rates there. Cardiff City, 3 shots, 2 on target, no goals. They were just kept off the ball, out of the way. They were in defence all the time. Leeds were constantly in that. They were constantly in the final third. That's what annoys me. That 2-0, we were thinking, surely they're going to score soon. This is ridiculous. Like in the final third, shot in the final third, and I was watching it on the watch along, thinking this is ridiculous. They should be several up by now. So yeah, we got the correct result there. Although it should have been way more than just 2-0 to Leeds. Coventry versus Swansea next. I know you like to go quick. We're going to try and do it as quickly as we can. If it went into the right game, it would be a good idea, wouldn't it? Coventry, Swansea, please. So Coventry, Swansea. Swansea scored 3 goals. It was Coventry 1, Swansea 2. I had to get that one in, didn't I? Swansea, 56% possession, 11 shots, 4 on target, 2 goals. That's actually not bad. And then you look at Coventry and you think, how many? With 44% possession, you see, this is what I'm talking about with the other games. 20 shots at goal. Coventry are not against just shooting. However, 7 shots on target isn't actually too bad from 20 shots. 20 shots, 7 on target, not a bad conversion rate, 3-1. Pretty good. But 7 shots on target and 1 goal is actually pretty poor. So that's what really did Coventry. They just couldn't. The defence, from a Swansea point of view, I would be saying their defence was excellent, and they managed to stop these shots that were on target really, really effectively. And other than that, it was actually quite an even game, apart from the fact that Swansea just found that their goal was being peppered by Coventry, and they were having to do some pretty good defensive work. So they never really found too many opportunities to go forward, but actually 11 shots from them was quite good, and they did manage to have more of the play. So quite an interesting set of stats there. Certainly shows 2 sides to the game. We said Coventry 0, Swansea 1, because most people were sitting on the fence and going with draws, and it was Coventry 1, Swansea 2. So we got the correct result there. So we'll go to Luton versus Sheffield Wednesday, and Luton, who aren't playing very well against a team, Sheffield Wednesday, that just don't seem to be hitting it off like they finished it. Another team like QPR, who finished so well last season, and now they just don't seem to be clicking. And then on 74 minutes, Bernard gets his marching orders, closely followed by Carlton Morris getting a 77-minute equaliser and a penalty on 88 minutes to win it. So Luton Town came back to win this one. What did we say? We said, I was following most of you, 2-0s and 2-1s to Luton Town. I said 1-0 to Luton. I didn't think that they'd get 2, but they did, and it was indeed, as some of you got it right again, Luton Town 2, Sheffield Wednesday 1. We got the correct result. You got the correct result and score, some of you, so well done. Thumbs up to you. Luton Town 59% possession, 15 shots, 3 on target, and 2 goals, which is basically 12. Yeah, you should have more shots on target, I think, from 15 shots, but we're not going to complain. You did win. 427 passes to Sheffield Wednesday's 284. A little bit more passing from them. 12 shots to Sheffield Wednesday, only just a little bit less. But 6 of them were on target, and they only managed to finish 1 of them. So I do think that they were pushed a little bit further out for their shots, and that's why they. From what I seem to remember, whenever Sheffield Wednesday had a shot, Luton had several people back, and those defenders were so crunched together that Wednesday really just. Yeah, we can shoot at goal and it can be on target, but it ain't going in. So a little bit of an unlucky day for Sheffield Wednesday, I think. I think sort of Bernard really took one for the team, but apart from that, we all got that one correct. I said Luton 1, Wednesday 0. It was Luton 2, Sheffield Wednesday 1. So a correct result. Sheffield United versus Derby. Now this is an interesting one because I could see Derby scoring. Most people were saying, no. I saw someone say 2-2. And I can see Derby scoring. Whether they score 2, I don't know. But, their boss is obviously good at Sheffield. And, one is good at Sheffield United. He's got a good history there, so he knows how they play. Yeah, a couple said 2-0 to Sheffield United. I said Sheffield United 2, Derby 1, thinking Derby could score like most of you were thinking. It was actually Sheffield United 1, Derby 0, and an awful lot closer than what you think, because apart from that Hamer goal on 53, 18 shots to Sheffield United, 5 on target. Not bad, but 5 on target on 1 goal is not brilliant. And against Derby, you would expect them to have scored at least 2 or 3 with those. Well, at least 2 from those 5. 61% possession as well. So, yeah, you would expect you to be able to get into a better position because you've got better possession. But those 18 shots then should have given you more than 5 on target, because you've got the time and the ability to knock it round and make sure you get into the right scoring opportunity. On the other hand, 39% possession to Derby, 2 shots, none on target. Well, you ain't going to get anything with none on target. And they were pinned back. Well, if they were pinned back, they should have been trounced a lot more than 1-0. So I don't think that was a very good performance from Sheffield United. I think it was actually not their best performance. I thought it was a really good performance by Derby. They managed to frustrate the hell out of them, and the Blades came away there feeling a little bit bruised, I think, because they should have won that one and had the capabilities and the stats to be able to absolutely slaughter them. But well done, Derby. You did a really good show. Based on that, I can see Derby doing quite well this season. So just to cover, I said Sheffield United 2, Derby 1. It was Sheffield United 1, Derby 0. Then we go to our first correct score and correct result. West Bromwich Albion versus Plymouth. We'll say the full title, shall we? The last game of Saturday. Josh Meyer scored on 62 to give West Brom the win. Plymouth actually were... They were actually better. They were actually the better team for a lot longer in that game than you think. So West Brom had 49% possession, Plymouth 51. Actually, Plymouth were better for a lot. Were higher than that for a bigger portion of the game. 17 shots each. Now this is so nearly 50-50. 17 shots each, 4 shots on target each. You can see how even it looks, but actually Plymouth, to me, played better football and looked like being the one to win this. And you can, if you went back to my watch along, there was a Plymouth fan came in and he says, "Who's going to win this one?" I said, "Well, if anybody wins this, at the minute, I think Plymouth looked like being the one to nick it." And 5 minutes later, West Brom scored the winner. I think that was against the run of play. I actually think Plymouth played better football there and actually looked more like pinching the last one, because whenever they had the ball, they'd automatically get into a good position to shoot. Whereas West Brom just seemed to get into that final third and just lose it right at the last minute. If West Brom are going to have to want to be to get up there and stay up there, which obviously in first position before that game and Plymouth in 16, you would think they're likely to for a while at least. They're going to have to be able to take some action to get into that final third, because they just kept getting blocked off by Plymouth and they just couldn't get into the final third. When they did, they got a winner, but to me it looked more like Plymouth during the game, during the watch along, were going to nick it. So we said 1-0 to Albion because of their position, really, I suppose. Most of you were saying 2-1 to Albion. One said 2-1 to Plymouth. But I got that one right. 1-0 to Albion. It was 1-0 to Albion. We move on to the last game on the following day, Sunday. We just need to move to Sunday. And Preston North End in 21st versus Blackburn in 3rd. And I think most people were going either on the fence or with Blackburn, because Blackburn were getting the run of the green. I don't think they've been playing well. I think they've been getting the run of the green. This was an amazing game, wasn't it? Tempers and tantrums, and we had Preston. Sam Greenwood sent off on 42. We had Blackburn's Beck off on 89. This was a temper-filled, and apparently it does say here the FA are looking into an incident which saw Preston's Milutin Osmajic allegedly bite Beck. Oh, that's that one where he came up behind him and bit him, and he showed the linesman the bite on his neck. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting punishment if he does indeed get found guilty of that. Preston versus Blackburn. I think most people were sort of either saying Blackburn probably because they're 3rd and Preston were 21st. Or a draw because Preston actually have a good side. Perhaps I should have gone with the others who said a draw. I actually played a bit of a blinder because I said Preston 2, Blackburn 1. Played another joker because none of you said Preston to win. And some of you got the right result, didn't get the right score. I don't think any of you, but there was at least 1 or 2 of you that said 1-1. It was indeed Preston 0, Blackburn 0. And that is Jon S Sports Channel out for another week. Please like and subscribe.